Shrimp and veggie kebabs sound like the easiest thing in the world, right? Just thread them on and toss them on the grill. Yeah, until your shrimp are rubbery and your peppers are still crunchy. It is one of those sneaky recipes that looks simple, but if you don't know what you're doing, things can go sideways fast. So in this video, we're fixing that. I'm going to show you exactly how to make shrimp and vegetable kebabs that cook evenly, taste amazing, and come together in under 30 minutes without any guesswork. But before we do anything else, if you're using wooden skewers, go ahead and get those soaking in water now. Just toss them in a shallow dish of water for at least 20 to 30 minutes and you're good to go. Alright, let's start with the marinade, aka my secret weapon for the most flavorful and perfectly grilled shrimp. Grab yourself a big bowl and add in 1/4 cup of olive oil, the zest of 1 lemon, 1/4 cup of freshly squeezed lemon juice, 3 tablespoons of honey. I know it sounds like a lot, but trust me on this one. 3 cloves of minced garlic, 1 teaspoon of paprika, a pinch of red pepper, only if you like a little kick, 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, and about 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. We'll give it a good mix until it looks nice and glossy. This marinade does double duty. It flavors the shrimp and the veggies, so don't skip it. We'll set the marinade aside for now and move on to the veggies. Now, when you're picking vegetables to go on skewer with the shrimp, the important thing to remember is that they gotta cook quickly. Shrimp only need a few minutes on the grill, so if you pair them with something like, like raw potatoes, good luck. I'm using bell peppers and mushrooms today. Both grill beautifully and soften up fast. Other great options: zucchini cut into half moons, or red onion sliced into layers so they're thin enough to cook through without burning. So just think colorful, quick cooking, and about the size of your shrimp. That's the goal. Now here's the thing. Even those quick cooking vegetables, they still need to cook. And the 2 to 3 minutes it takes for shrimp to grill, that's just not gonna cut it. You'll end up with perfectly cooked shrimp and the peppers that are still basically salad. So here's the solution to that little conundrum. And yes, it might sound a little controversial, but we're using the microwave. Yes, you heard that right, the microwave. I actually picked up this trick from the folks over of America's Test Kitchen and it works like a charm. We'll start by cutting up our bell peppers. Aim for pieces that are about 1 to 1.5 inches, big enough to thread onto skewers without falling apart, but still small enough to soften up quickly. Then we'll lay a sheet of paper towel on a microwave-safe plate and place the cut peppers on top, skin side down. This helps them release some of their moisture without getting soggy. We're not trying to fully cook them here, just soften them enough so they finish right on time with the shrimp. We'll microwave them for about 2 to 2.5 minutes, just until they're slightly tender but still hold their shape. At the end of time, go ahead and taste one. If it's still crunchy, no problem. Just pop them back in for another 30 seconds or so until they're just starting to soften. Remember, they'll finish cooking on the grill. We're just giving them a little head start. Next up, mushrooms. I'm using baby bellas, but white button mushrooms would work too. First, we'll remove the stems. They can get a bit tough and don't grill well, but don't toss them. Save them for stock. Just pop them in a freezer bag and stash them away for the next time you're making broth. While the shape of the mushrooms doesn't matter too much for threading, since we're going straight through the cap, you do want them to be roughly the same size so they cook evenly on the grill. We'll place them on a paper towel lined plate and microwave them for about 1.5 to 2 minutes just to soften them slightly. We'll set those aside to cool while we work on the shrimp. I'm using large shrimp here, something in the 21 to 25 count range works well. If you can find 16 to 20, even better. Just make sure they're peeled, deveined, and if they were frozen, fully thawed. First up, we dry the shrimp. Now, you might think of this as an extra step because in a minute, we'll put them in the marinade, but drying them helps the marinade stick better so every bite is packed with flavor. Just line a sheet pan with paper towel, spread the shrimp out on top, and pat them dry with another paper towel. We'll add them to the marinade we prepared earlier, but first we'll scoop out a few tablespoons and set it aside. We'll use this for brushing on the grilled shrimp right before we take them off the grill, so we're keeping it clean and shrimp-free. Now we'll add the shrimp and the veggies into the bowl with the marinade. Toss everything gently to coat. Make sure that those mushrooms and peppers get some love too. We'll let it sit for 10 minutes or 30 minutes top, which is plenty of time for the flavors to soak in without breaking down the shrimp. All right, time to assemble our skewers. Now, this part matters more than you think. How we thread the shrimp and veggies actually affects how evenly they cook. For the shrimp and mushrooms, we're threading them sideways, right through the thickest part, so they lay flat against the grill. That way, they all get good contact with the heat and cook evenly. Now, peppers, on the other hand, are a little trickier. Instead of going straight through the side like most people do, we're going to thread them from the bottom of the piece and out through the top, like you're stacking them upright on the skewer. This helps each piece sit flush against the grill instead of just hanging off the side. That means better char, better texture, and everything finishing at the same time. As we're threading everything on, we'll alternate between shrimp, mushroom, and pepper, so each skewer has a little bit of everything. And here's another small but important detail. We want to leave a tiny bit space between each piece. I know it is tempting to pack them in tight, but giving them just a little breathing room helps the heat circulate and gives us that nice grilled edge instead of just steaming. Then we're off the grill. Now we'll place the skewers directly on the grates. Lay them down so the shrimp and veggies make full contact with the grill. That's how we get that gorgeous char. And if you're like me, using wooden skewers, here's a tip. Since they're usually shorter, they can be tricky to flip without burning your fingers. So use a pair of kitchen tongs to protect your hands. After about 2 to 3 minutes per side, once everything is looking cooked through, the shrimp are opaque and slightly curled, and the veggies have nice grill marks while still holding their shape, we'll grab that reserved marinade and give them a light brush, just enough to add a final layer of flavor and keep everything juicy without overcooking. To serve, we'll transfer the skewers onto a large platter, cut up some lemons, and place them on the side. Then, right before serving, we'll squeeze some lemon juice over and sprinkle them with some fresh parsley. And that's it. Juicy, perfectly cooked shrimp, tender veggies, and all done in 30 minutes. If you give this recipe a try, take a picture and tag me on social media. I'd love to hear how it turned out. You'll find the full printable recipe, plus more grilling tips and side dish ideas over on the blog. I will link it for you in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Thread them on, toss them on the grill. Remember is that they gotta cook quickly. I cannot say that part, sorry. Okay, that's it. That's how you soak skewers. First up, we'll I've done this before.